What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wealth Not Weight. I'm your host, Joseph Coizza, and welcome back to another Motivational Monday. That's what I'm calling the Mondays when we talk about things involving health, and it's usually something to get you motivated to either improve your health or maybe change some things up about your health or continue doing good things about your health. Who knows? Maybe you're doing great already, in which case I'm proud of you. Good job. But today we're talking about something. I'm trying to keep the mood a little light because we're talking a little bit about grief and just sort of like upset. I understand I have a lot of people and have dealt with a lot of issues in my life involving grief and, like depression and just things of the mind that hurt you both physically. It ends up hurting you physically and emotionally. And while I'm not saying, it's not okay, I'm not saying it's okay to get affected by those things. Crying, getting emotions out is something that's very important, but it shouldn't ultimately destroy your life and the way you view yourself and you as a person. I have dealt with a lot of emotional issues, being heavy and going through stuff in my life involving a lot of people that I was very close to. I've lost a lot of people that I was close to, and I've lost a lot of things, maybe physical places or items that had a lot of sentimental and personal value to me. And I've known people who've suffered from depression, have been diagnosed and gone through depression, countless amounts of people, and countless amounts of people who've had grief, lost loved ones and whatnot. And it's really easy to sit there and be like, oh, just be optimistic about things and, just be happy. And I know that's something I preach a lot is try and have a positive mindset, try and do the best that you can for yourself. I know a lot of people sit there and go, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say everything is going good. But things don't always go good. There's always going to be hardships in life. And I've dealt with a lot of hardships in life, so I've known, some of that. I don't know, obviously, everybody's individual situation, but I know from past experience that it can be soul-crushing and painful to go through certain stuff and have to deal with things. So the important thing, no matter how painful it is always remind yourself in the back of your head that things will get better. Unless it's the end of the world, in which case, you're going to feel however you feel. Unless it's the end of the world, the sun will rise tomorrow. I know, that's maybe not something a lot of people like to hear. I know that's something just like, oh, that's just something to make people feel better about themselves. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. The day is going to continue. Life is going to move on. And sometimes that hurts more than it helps. But ultimately having that in the back of your head is be like, this is temporary. Things will get better eventually. I'm not going to say time heals all wounds, even though that's a common thing. There's a lot of wounds, that's gone through time that I haven't been healed, but there's definitely things that I learned from. Which brings me into my next point, is if it was a failure, if something happened, if it's something that maybe you did or something that didn't go right, there's always something that can learn from it. There's always something that you could take away from a situation. If you lose a place, you lose a thing, unfortunately, if you lose a loved one, there's something that you can learn from it, from loss, from failure, from pain. Pain is a great teacher. So sometimes if it's a failure, you kind of realize, well, maybe this is for the best. Things don't always work out the way you want them to. I know there's lots of things in my life that, you would have went back 2-3 years ago and been like, you'll never do this, or this is going to happen, or this isn't going to go the way you thought it was. And I'm like, that's crazy. I know for a fact this is going to happen. Going to college, I know I'm going to go to college in New York. I know I'm going to be a successful lawyer. And look, and it's very difficult to deal with those kinds of situations, but there's always something you can learn from it. It's like having a teacher in life where you'd be like, at the time, you're always like, oh, that person was kind of a dick, like maybe like a hard, rough teacher on you. But then later on in life, you're kind of like, oh, they were right. They were just trying to teach me for life. They were just trying to set me up for this. And you kind of realize that later on looking back. There's always something you could take away from a situation, be it a loss or a failure. And I know, trust me, I know it hurts. I know it hurts now beyond anything you could think of, but there's always going to be a bright side later on. I know you can't see it now. I know I didn't see it back then. There have been countless times I would drive around at night beating myself up internally, being like, man, why am I like this? Why is this the way it is, due to my weight, due to the way I would interact with people, just due to things in general, life situations that I was being too hard on myself about, or things that I couldn't control. And that caused a lot of stress, which is another thing I want to talk about, is just the stress and the pain of having all that. Heartbreak is a real thing. If you lose something or you fail, that internally, that crushes you. That could hurt. I know I don't have to tell you that, but it hurts. And it will destroy you if you let it. I'm not saying you gotta let it, just bottle up and put it internally. That's a problem I had a lot, is I wouldn't talk about things. I wouldn't get it out. Cry about it, get it out of your system, but don't let it affect you. If you got to sit there and take an hour and just cry and get it out and talk to someone and speak to a loved one about it, do it. But then after that, don't let it destroy your life. Get it out the best you can and deal with it, but don't let it destroy you. You got to move forward and you got to move on with that. There's something which I never really went and talked to somebody about it, so I want to officially give it a name. But it's like how I dealt with a lot of depressed episodes. That's I feel like the best way to put it is I would drive around hours at night burning gas. That's kind of why I wanted to do this video in the car, is burn gas or sit at the restaurant and just hate myself and just be upset at the world and be upset at other people and really, you get so hurt that it gets to a point where then you feel nothing. And there were times in my life where I felt not pain, not joy, but just nothing. I've been hurt so bad I felt just nothing. And that's not something I wish on anybody, and that's something I'm trying to help people through. And that's something kind of why I want to make this video from is pain's going to happen. Loss is going to happen, failure is going to happen. But you have to learn from it, and you just got to keep going with it. You just, if you're going to live, if tomorrow you're alive, if this situation isn't going to kill you, which I hope to God it doesn't, sometimes internally you can feel like it's going to kill you inside, or you have negative thoughts, and it shouldn't. Talk to somebody and move on from it and try and progress forward. But the sun will rise tomorrow, and you're going to have to move on, and you're going to be stronger because of it. Learn from this. Learn from this pain. Learn from the failure, and have it in the back of your mind. Go, okay, I'm getting it out now. Yeah, it hurts. I'm going to cry about it now, and but later on, tomorrow, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to feel better. I'm going to use this and put this towards something. If you have a loss in life, if you have a loved one that you lost, this may be internally, it's something you realize, it's going to hurt you. It's like, well, I lost someone I'm very close to and that I care about. This now tells me I need to spend more time with the people I care about. That's something I forgot, and that's something I want to do, is spend more time with the people I care about, because you never know. And it's true, you never really do know. That's one of the regrets a lot of people I talk to who have a little more experience in life. They're like, spend time with the ones you love, because you never really know. Or just things you want to do. If you had a failure with something, and you're gonna cry about it, get it out. But learn from it. Grow from it. If you failed in business, you failed in a relationship, you failed with whatever, learn from it. The next business you build, okay, well, don't make the same mistake. The next relationship you have, what was wrong with it? Weren't you happy with? Wasn't the other person happy with? What can you do better internally, and what can you look for with another person? There's always a learning experience. There's always something you can do to grow better. And just don't let it hurt you with that stress. Like I said before, that stress it has physical effect on you. That's part of something I talked about in the book, is it has a physical effect. NPR did a study on it, and they talk about people who say, my life is so stressful. Oh, my day-to-day life is very stressful. They tend to, one, not be happier, obviously, and then two, not live as long. They kill themselves internally. Working through that stress, working through that mental, that state you put yourself in, that funk that you have in your head, working through that is going to help you physically as well. Getting out and exercising too is the best way to destroy stress. You're upset with something, be like, what, I'm gonna release some anger, maybe go for a run. I know if I'm upset, physical exertion, running, boxing, something will make me feel even a little bit better. Go lift weights, go do something and physically push that out of you, so that way you can help yourself deal with it mentally. And as you get better mentally and you get better physically, you get stronger, which then ultimately will help you deal with problems in the future. And that's something, like, even still to this day, if I go through something that really hurts or that really affects me, I get it out. I'm not saying I'm not going to cry about it. I admit that there are still things that hurt me to my core that I have to let out. Maybe cry about and get out of. Especially if it's like a loss of a loved one or something that's really meaningful to you. But then I always have in the back of my head, I got to take my own advice, and I'm like, well, listen, things are going to get better. I'm learning from this. I'm going to push forward. In the future, I'm going to make sure I'm not making the same mistakes. In the future, I'm going to do things better. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to deal with it now. I'm going to be upset about all the memories or the things I had in the past. I'm going to be upset about it. I'm going to mourn it, but ultimately, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be thankful I had the experience that I had. Which leads me to the last thing is, I know it's hard when you're struggling with something, to be thankful for it, but ultimately you will be thankful for it. A lot of bad breakups, a lot of things that people been in, abusive relationships, breakups, they'll sit there and they'll think to themselves after the fact, or at least I talk to, and they'll go, it sucks, and I obviously wouldn't want to go through it. It's not great that I went through it, but it's made me a stronger person because of it, and I'm thankful that I'm stronger and I grew from this experience. Not thankful necessarily for the experience, but thankful for the chance to be stronger. Again, with loss, I'm thankful for the time that I had with my loved ones and the people that I care about. I'm thankful to make those memories, and I'm thankful to have that experience and learn from it. But ultimately, it's still going to hurt, and you just got to move on from it and just have these things in the back of your mind. It's just grow from it and don't let it destroy you. Because if you don't stop it from destroying you, it will. If you let it hurt you internally, it will destroy you. And some things can be so minute that people worry about it, or they could be big things, like I said, like loss, and it could affect the rest of your life if you let it. You could ruin the rest of your life if you let it. And that's something I'm trying not to do, is like grief and anguish and the things that hurt me in the past continue to hurt me to this day. I want to move on and be happier in the future, so I have to take the initiative and do it. I got to mourn for it and keep going, but ultimately I have to be stronger. And that's what I want to leave you guys on, is something to be stronger. I understand that you may be going through a tough time right now, but always know you'll grow stronger and you'll get stronger because of it. And tomorrow is always a new day. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I'm going to leave you with a question, as always. What's something that you guys had to work through in your life, or that maybe you're currently working through, that you can grow from and get stronger? Something that's affecting you that you have to fight through, or maybe just get out and move on from? What's that thing that's bothering you that you could take away from? As always, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps with the channel, and it shows you guys' appreciation. I'm eternally thankful for all the things that you guys, we're growing fast, and we're moving along. But thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys next time.